Hello. Thank you very much for joining in today's Riverside Ghanaian SDHH Health Watch. I am glad you made it here. And you're going to love it because we have a very important topic to talk about. And I am opportune, as well as you, to have our very seasoned speaker with us today. And he is in the person of Dr. Gregory Cheadle. I am so glad you are here. Welcome.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I feel welcomed.
Thank you so much for joining in today. And so our speaker for today is a very seasoned one, like I mentioned, and he has been on several platforms. And this is another one that he's on. He's been on CNN, on ABC, on NBC, and CBS, and all that. And he is a big guy. He's a very big guy, and he actually has a book, and the book is entitled The Milk Madness. And today we are actually going to talk about milk. That is why we have him here. And because he's a seasoned one, we are going to really benefit from this. He actually has a BA in psychology with a specialization in physiological psychology, an MPA in healthcare administration, and to top it up, he's also a Juris Doctor. So he's very seasoned. There are some others coming up because he actually has a PhD in social welfare and social research from Loma Linda. He's doing a lot of stuff too. He's actually researching into prostate cancer as well. Yeah, you do so much. Thank you so much for making yourself very useful to the community of God and to us today too. So what actually motivated you to write the book Milk Madness?
Well, I think a lot of it started with Obamacare, the whole thing about healthcare. And when you look at healthcare in the United States, there's this argument about pain and all this other stuff, but they never focus on prevention. And so I've maintained for the longest that in order to reduce healthcare expenditures, you have to do it via prevention rather than medication. And so part of that prevention comes in with diet. And so part of the diet, again, is with milk. And so when you look into milk, dairy, and you see all of the health issues that are related to that, not only health of the human body, but also health of the environment. It was just a natural to write about it and explore it more.
Okay, right. Thank you so much. Talking about the health problems. So milk is everywhere. Everybody loves milk, right? From birth, we all go on our milk journey, right? So all the way to adulthood. And we've also known recommendations that it gives calcium, it gives all that and all the nutrients and all that. So do you think there are health problems related to taking milk? What are the health problems?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, first of all, let me preface my statement by saying that we've been given a sales pitch. Milk is all about money. It's not about health. It's all about money. And so when you look at the industry itself, the industry is geared to make money. Milk is probably the most wasteful substance, or food substance, if you want to call it that we have in the United States. The amount of water that's required to make milk, and the amount of milk that's wasted every year, and the amount of milk that is kept by the government, it's one of the most, I think it is the most wasteful substance that we have. But with respect to illnesses that we have, it runs the gamut. You can go with heart disease, thanks to trimethylamine. I don't want to get into that, but you have all these substances in milk. So we can start at the cellular level. Let's go with the host of microorganisms that are in milk. You have everything from E. coli, just a gamut of microorganisms that are in that stuff. And so we think that we're safe because it's pasteurized. But in the United States, the way milk is pasteurized does not give you that, doesn't give you that safety net you would think that was there. See.
Okay, so we will zoom into it. But beforehand, let's issue this disclaimer. I believe you are talking about animal milk, right?
Animal, that's why I said, yeah.
Animal milk.
We're talking about milk
That's what my audience are comfortable, yeah?
from a cow.
We are still doing the breastfeeding.
Yeah, not breastfeeding. That's a whole other thing.
Now, on the milk issue. So, the claims that the book is making is that there are a whole lot of health problems attached to consuming milk. Have you ever had some counter argument coming up from this whole claim?
Oh, there's always counter arguments because again, dairy milk is a money-making commodity. So you have the industry fighting back with their propaganda. But the reality is the human being is not a cow, okay? When you drink cow's milk, we had this whole thing about formula, baby formula in the United States back a few decades ago, where the baby formula industry was using milk and, trying to make money off of that. Instead of encouraging women to breastfeed, they said, well, give your baby this cow stuff. And so human babies are not baby calves. Baby calves comes out weighing, 75, 100 pounds. And within a year, it's 1,000 pounds. Now you take an infant kid, coming out maybe at 7 pounds. And then in a year, if it's even a whole lot, maybe 21 pounds or so. And so you have this huge difference. And what's amazing, though, is that when you look at a cow, that cow's head is so big, right? Mm-hmm. It's got a big head. But guess what? It has a small brain.
Aww.
So like the human brain, okay, the human brain is 3 times the size of a cow's brain. So when you're feeding that baby cow's milk, you're feeding that kid to make that kid grow faster and bigger, but their brain
They leave the brain behind.
Leave the brain behind.
Right.
Because again, a cow's brain is 1/3 the size of a human brain. So you have this big bruiser, but that kid is likely to be somewhat handicapped intellectually, given just the nutrients that are in milk.
Right. I hope you are following, and it's getting interesting. So, Dr. Chido, do you think all dairy products have this problem you're talking about, or is just milk?
Why, all dairy is bad, and I say that
unapologetically.
Not only is it not unapologetically, it's sad that I have to say it. When you look at milk, you can have, in the United States, I can't talk about other countries. I could, but I don't want to generalize. When you look at the United States, you can have a somewhat of a healthy cow giving milk. Then you have another farmer who's giving milk as well. That farmer's cows are sicker than your cows. But what happens is all that milk comes together. And so what was good milk, well, if there is such a thing, what was good milk is now bad milk. And the health of the milk is measured by what they call the somatic cell count. Now, the somatic cell count is a count of the number of pus cells in a milliliter of milk. And it varies, throughout the country. But, it's not unusual to find, several 100,000 somatic cells within 1 milliliter of milk.
Wow. Interesting.
It's sick.
All right. So do you actually think that people can actually live without milk? I don't know how possible that is, but are there substitutes that we can have if we don't want to take milk, given all that you have said and what's in the book as well?
Now, I've been without milk for decades. Do I look sickly?
We can kill that.
No. Oh, I mean, sure, you can live without milk. You know, we've lived without milk for, when I say we, I'm talking about a number of people in the United States and the world have lived without milk. So milk is not a necessity. It's not required. It's not mandatory. It's optional.
Optional. So what do we, because we know what milk does for us, right? Even growing up all the way, nutrition, little courses that we take in school, pronouncing what milk does for the body.
Milk, it does a body good.
Right. It being even given in schools and all that for our kids and all that. So how do we make up if we don't want to take the milk?
Well, you simply don't take it. Yeah, you know, in the United States, you have to understand one thing. The United States runs on one thing. That's money. So everything about the way we eat in this country is about money. It's about products. And so we have milk for kids so they can put it in their cereal, you know, junk food. So we have milk for all these little pastries. We have milk for all this garbage. We don't have milk really for anything that's good, that's healthy. So yes, we can live without milk. And we're much better off when we don't have that stuff in our diet.
In our diet. And you think all of the stuff that we take will make up, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, come on. When you look at, for instance, they talk so much about calcium. When you look at the calcium that's given, you also have to look at the amount of protein from milk. And when you start looking at the amount of protein that ends up leaching calcium, how much better off are you? You're not. You're worse off. And so then when you start looking at the added protein as well, now you start getting into a whole host of diseases. So you have the added protein, you have the leaching of calcium. What benefit is there? And we're not even going off into other areas where milk has major issues.
Right. So what could be the specific alternatives that we can have for milk, if we should say, I mean the dairy milk?
Well, you know, right now, I mean, it's really great to be dairy milk free because there's so many substitutes out there, so many alternatives. You have everything from flaxseed milk, oat, cashew, macadamia, and all these types of milk, you know, rice milk, on and on and on and on. So there are a number of alternatives out there.
Right, audience. So this is Dr. Chido here, actually promoting that we go on a plant-based milk product, if I should put it that way.
Well, I mean, the reality is, you know, God is preparing a people.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to live down here as though we're going to live up there. And so when you start bringing in the spiritual aspect of, you know, eating plant-based, that's what we're going to be eating up in heaven. God's not going to say, oh, time to milk this cow. He's not going to slaughter a cow. And so we have to start getting in that frame of mind here.
Right. That sounds good. But so with my audience and then with the book, right? This is a very challenging creator.
I mean, I'm just being real with you.
Yeah.
You know.
So how do we handle the fact that almost the whole population, if not like 100% or 99.9%,
It's hard.
have consumed for years? How do we handle that claim? Yeah.
Well, I mean, people have been killing people for years. People have been doing a whole number of things for years. The thing that's important is it's not the length of time that someone has done something. It's rather what have they done that's beneficial, okay? When you look at animals, especially animals today, the animals of yesteryear are not the same animals of today. The animals of yesteryear were from small farms, you know, mom and pop's farms. They were out grazing and so forth and so on. The animals that we have today are selected to be mediocre at best. There's not a whole lot of money invested in these animals. At the very best, these animals are mediocre. Now, with that mediocrity, you also have, guess what? Diseases. These animals are prone to diseases, and so they give them antibiotics. They give them hormones. Interestingly enough, the cow makes enough milk on its own, but they give them hormones RBST being one of them, to make its milk production increase. So now you have you have a that's pregnant all the time. Imagine being pregnant all the time and having your teats, expressed every day, several times a day. The hormones within that animal naturally occurring now, would drive a system crazy. But now you throw into that those hormones, added hormones, and then you throw in antibiotics, then you throw in the diseases that these animals have. What in the world do you have that's beneficial?
Right.
Seriously.
Uh-huh. Okay, audience, I know you are so much intrigued about what you're hearing, and it is good to have a good health, right? And that is what we want for you, and that is what we want for everyone, like God wants for us as well. So we have the book, The Milk Madness, and it has a lot. So you would want to grab one and read on that. But if you have final words to say about this whole milk madness, what would you say?
Well, I think that what we have been told by the industry and reality are two different things. Animals today are sick, literally sick. When it comes to cows, you have the bovine immunodeficiency virus, and you have all these other viruses as well. And so we're consuming unhealthy animals, and the products from those unhealthy animals makes it even more of a problem.
Right. So animals are sick. They are a claim that's coming up. And so we also launching on their milk, and the products of it makes us sick. So we are working on preventive health. And so the choice is for you, dear viewer, to make the right choice when it comes to milk. So let's be aware of that. Thank you so much, Dr. Gregory, for coming our way today with the Milk Madness.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you so much, dear viewer, for being with us all through our discussion on milk and why we should choose other options for plant-based milk. I know you have your choice. I have mine. And so we will meet you here, same time when you come on set to view or go through to find the Health Watch. Thank you so much for coming. Bye for now.